the NFL has advised the NFLPA that it intends to seek more than $12 million in reimbursement for attorney's fees and costs that it incurred in defending against the collusion case. Now, in the American system of civil justice, here's how this typically works. You pay for your own lawyer, with exception, and there are exceptions, but you pay for your own lawyer, win or lose. And if you lose, you don't have to pay for the other side's lawyer. Now, in other countries, like in the UK, if you lose, you have to pay the other side's legal fees. So you better be right if you're going to take somebody to court, because if you swing and miss, it's going to be very expensive. And that dissuades a lot of people from taking their chances, because a lot of cases that get filed in the American civil justice system are, it's a roll of the dice. Let's see what discovery shows. We have an instinct here that maybe there's something in this case. Let's go find some evidence to back it up. And that's legitimate, and that happens. So if this were a normal situation, there'd be no standing for the NFL to recover attorney's fees from the NFLPA. In a usual American civil case, there is some discretion available for the judge to award costs, not attorney's fees, but costs. And a lot of times what happens is, if it's an individual that's going up against a big company, and I represented a lot of individuals who had their employment terminated in ways that we believed violated state, federal, and it was usually state law that we focused on. But, if you lose that case against big bad company, they can still come after the person that they fired, the person who may not have much money, and say, we want you to pay our litigation costs. And what that ends up becoming, and I've seen this happen, I've been involved in this on both sides, that amount of money, and it's not a crippling amount, but for somebody who doesn't have any money, it's a lot of money to come up. $5,000, $7,000. Where am I going to get $5,000 or $7,000? What happens is the company puts together its cost petition and then says, hey, if you will waive your appeal rights, we'll withdraw our request for costs. And that's important because there's a chance that the NFL stating its intention to seek more than $12 million from the NFLPA is the next step in this coordinated, choreographed dance between the league and the union. That when the union finds out officially that the league wants more than $12 million, that's when Lloyd Howell can say, well, hey, executive committee, we should waive our appeal rights. And if we do, the league will withdraw its request for $12 million plus in fees and costs. And I'm told that the league's already made that offer, that happened back at the time the ruling came out. So I'm going to be very, very curious to see whether or not this appeal is quickly resolved with an agreement with the league that the league is going to give up its claim for more than $12 million in fees and costs. And you can look at it and say, well, okay, hey, they get something out of it. They get $12 million. They don't have to pay the $12 million. Here's the problem. We have the post at PFT, and we have the language quoted from the collective bargaining agreement that explains under what circumstances the league would be able to get fees and costs from the NFLPA. This is one of those situations where there is an exception. And the collusion provision of the CBA, Article 17, which sets forth the protocol for pursuing these claims, there is a provision in there that allows for the arbitrator to award fees and costs if it finds that one of the two sides to the case made a claim or asserted a defense that had no reasonable basis. Basically, that it was frivolous. There's nothing to it. You're floating a bullcrap theory. You're pursuing a bullcrap idea. How in the world, in this case, when you have a finding that the NFL, through the Management Council, with the blessing of the commissioner, urged teams to collude, how in the world would the arbitrator find there was no reasonable basis for making the collusion claim? They found evidence, and they got a finding by the arbitrator that there was an urging to collude. So here's the bottom line. To the extent that it feels like the league and the union are in cahoots, and have been in cahoots, it's easy to stay in cahoots because the union just says, well, that $12 million, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to come up with. We don't have 12 million laying around. So at least we get some value from this collusion case. We don't have to pay the NFL's legal fees. And that's how they would try to sell it. My point is this, and this is speaking to the players who aren't watching this. Hey, players who aren't watching this, don't fall for that. Don't fall for it, because you may have something with your appeal. Who knows? The $12 million, now look, it's easy for me to say because it's not my money, but my understanding of that standard, unless the arbitrator is corrupt or stupid, he's not going to give the NFL $12 million because there was a reasonable basis for bringing the case, as proven by the partial victory in the case. So players who aren't watching or listening because, number one, you don't care what I have to say, and number two, you're generally apathetic about these issues. If you happen to stumble across this, if someone sends it to you and you've made it this far without falling asleep or otherwise losing interest, let me tell you, you should not do a deal with the league that would entail giving up your appeal in exchange for the league dropping its claim for 12 million plus in fees and costs. Don't do it. Don't do it. And if any of you want to talk to me about it, I'm easy to find. Florio at profootballtalk.com. I'm happy to give you unofficial recommendations, insight, advice, whatever. I'm no longer a lawyer. I haven't practiced law in 16 years. I can't represent anyone, but I can tell you more about why I think what I think if you have any questions, and I'll happily do that if you're interested. But my guess is the over-under on communications I actually receive from members of the executive committee, members of the board of player reps, anyone tied to the union, the over-under is 0.5, and I would smash the under. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.